And without further ado, I want to introduce you to Dr. LaNysha and Tuga Adams. I love big names because she's got all these wonderful names. She is an Ivy League educated linguist and a founder of an award-winning education consultancy. EdLinguist Solutions challenges others to not only answer this question, but also to put the question into action. Me Power redefines empowerment, encouraging us to tap into our limitless flow of possibility while connecting with others, no matter the barriers. Me Power pushes us to activate the best of who we are and dismiss the possibility that power is something we can authorize, give away, or take from others. This is a fabulous book. It's on our book list. So please make sure that you make a purchase or write her comment, go onto her LinkedIn or Facebook and get excited about the launch of this amazing book. So over to you. And I want to introduce a fabulous panel that Dr. LaNysha and I have put together. So we have with us, I think, Carletta, I'm pronouncing her name wrong. Carletta is,
that's right.
is the president of the National MBA Association. We have Sonia Jackson, we have Alisha and Ellen, and wonderful Lisa Baker, who's going to be the moderator for the session. So I'm going to see if I can spotlight the panel so that we can know who's going to be in the panel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, all right, over to you, LaNysha. I'll come back and bring the panel on.
Absolutely. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Happy to be with everybody today. We're bookending Women's History Month, and I'm going to be talking about how me power, the phrase me power is really the true definition of empower. So happy to be with everybody this morning.
Happy to have you. Happy to have you.
Thank you. All right. So when I start off with this idea of me power, we're moving from the traditional definition of empower. And this is really important to distinguish the two, because I focused on the prefix of the word, which has to do with what's inside, what's within us. And this is extremely important to understand as we move forward to learn more about where me power is a better definition and where empower kind of falls short. So in this image, you kind of see how this notion of power, I'm showcasing in that image how power is really this idea that there's force, there's some strength, exemplified by the fist and the hand. And this is kind of like, when we think of the word power, this is a symbolic representation of what most people think about, right? And it kind of goes wrong in that power is not about force. And this misconception really comes from three ideas, where this notion that power is infinite, where power is finite. There's only a certain limited amount, actually. There's also a second misconception, which is how we need approval from the outside inside, right? So how is it that we need to be empowered by other people when that really generates from inside of us? So it's inside out, but yet we seem to somehow think that it's from the outside in. And then the third misconception has to do with this idea that my loss means your gain and your gain means my loss. And so I'm really challenging this notion. And it's very important for us to understand that me power then is defined as one's knowledge of self plus principled action. And these two things combined are what make up a new definition of empower. And it's more layered because one's knowledge of self, who we are, that's so specific. Like, who are you? How do you define it? And at what points in life does that definition change and evolve over time, right? So this is why we're here on the planet, I think, is to really unpack what that means and what that looks like and be able to understand it at each phase of development. And then the principled actions that we take have practices, right? We live from our principles. So do we know what those principles are? And there's a Me Power framework and mindset that are comprised of 5 principled actions that really exemplify the concept. So here you see the 5 principles of Me Power in a wheel representation. And Me is actually an acronym that stands for different components of the principle. And there are practices associated with it. So for example, we have embrace your barriers, which is the first principle. And related to that is this idea of motivated energy. So when we are embracing our barriers, we need to take action. And what kind of energy do we take action from? It's from the deepest sense of internal motivation that we have. When we look at the second principle of Me Power, it's focused on your strengths. And we have many strengths, we have many capabilities, abilities, and we'll talk more about exactly what that looks like. But in order to tap into said strengths, we need to understand our education. And education means more than formal schooling. So education is really how we move and groove through life and the different experiences that we engage in that help us learn. So this way in which we engage in education helps us focus on our strengths, and our focus on the strengths inform the way in which we pursue our education in life, above and beyond school. The third principle of Me Power is speak for your life. And this has to do with self-expression. And the acronym for me is My Self-Expressed. The fourth principle of Me Power is choose your guides. And it has to do with mastering one's excellence and really pursuing this notion of what's best for you and not only doing it alone. This is really an important idea. I'm going to unpack each one of these concepts as we go through this talk, but I just wanted to give you a highlight of the 5 principles. And the last principle is ritualize your reflection, understanding and truly realizing that you are more than enough. And it's funny, like sometimes we think we shouldn't be more than enough. We should just be enough, or we might be doing too much, or it might be too much, or it might have too much energy. And I think it's important to know that who you are, the best of who you are, can't ever be limited. So this practice, this understanding is combined with the practice of ritualizing who you are and reflecting on that and your change over time. So this definition, many people ask me, why is it so important to have a redefinition of the word empower? My claim is that if we look denotatively at the word, I studied the history and origins of it. If we look very closely at this word, we will start to see that there are some problems with the denotation. And the denotation is very important because that's where we're operating from. So if we look at Webster's, we see that empower means the act or action of empowering someone or something, the granting of the power, right, or authority to perform various acts or duties. So who is doing this granting of the power? Is coming on the outside. And I don't think this definition is talking about God's power or a higher being's power. It's really talking about another individual, some other person, right, that either anoints you or grants you or allows you, right? So it's the denotation itself. That's the problem with the word. It means something else that we might not think about what it means, and it's problematic. So when I think about knowledge of self and principled action in the 5 areas and how I'm breaking it down, the first Me Power principle is embrace your barriers, related to motivated energy. And the concept behind this is seeing barriers as opportunities instead of as insurmountable obstacles. So many times in life, we're like, oh, we encountered this problem. This is an issue for us. It's so problematic. I don't know what to do. It means I can't do it because there is some external barrier. It means for a fact I can't do it. But when we think about that, it's like, is that really true? Should we only be stopped by barriers, or is it an opportunity to maybe problem solve in a way that's creative? I think this is beautifully exemplified by the great Henrietta Lacks, right? And if we know, I think the history of her life is showcased in the popular movie Hidden Figures. If folks have seen that, can you drop us in the chat? You know who she is, you know what she's about. And in the event that you don't, I'll break it down a little bit. So the donation of her cells, and I don't think she knew she did not know she was donating her cells. But in any case, she went to a hospital in Baltimore, and it was one of the, historically back in the 50s, it was the only place where Blacks could go to get care. And so instead of seeing that as a barrier, like I can't get access to care because I embody this life as a Black woman, she took action and was motivated to solve, to reduce the pain she was feeling physically. So she goes to the doctor. She had all of this bleeding. They ended up trying to help her, but she unfortunately passed away at the young age of 31. And the medical system, they were looking at her cells and they were like, wow, her cells are really amazing, because she was able to, those cells were really generative in a way that no human cell was. And so it was like this idea that her cells and the cancerous nature of them were able to reproduce indefinitely. Can you imagine the power of this woman and her cells? And it's unfortunate because the cancer, the cells reproduced and then ended up in the end of her life. But the fact that she went to the hospital and they used those cells for research, they use them for all kinds of stuff. Her cells have its own name called HeLa cells for her initials and her first and last name. And it's informed research all around the world. I mean, there's so much that we can say and unpack about Henrietta Lacks as it relates to the Me Power principle. The first one of it, embracing your barriers, is really about looking at a way around maybe something that seems insurmountable. And it's important to underscore the fact that the hospital where her cells were collected, they were used, and the companies that have benefited from her research, they didn't give that money back to the families necessarily. But now we know about this practice, we know who she is, and we know the influence of her. So I think for many of us, she'll forever live on. And it's very important to underscore this woman as a Me Power, what I call a Me Power exemplar. The second principle of Me Power is focus on your strengths, my education. And this principle is deeply rooted in knowledge of self, the foundational component of the definition. Focusing on your strengths provides the foundation for my education, which includes learning within and beyond school. And here, as a Me Power exemplar, I have Aline Jindian featured. She's the woman standing next to me in the photo in the middle with her beautiful family. That's her brother, her brother's partner, her husband, Micah, to my right, and her daughter, Anais. And Aline Jindian was my 9th grade English teacher, and she is probably, before I even knew what empowerment was, I think she exemplifies this notion, and she's impacted my life in such a powerful, amazing way. And we're friends, right? 26 years later, we're still friends, and we're very close. This was at the book launch back in November. And one of the ways in which she really highlights this is that she centered herself as a learner in the classroom. And that was the first time I experienced a teacher doing that. She would talk to us about what we had to read, and then talk about her reading of it and what she was reading, if she was reading things beyond what we were experiencing. And she positioned herself as a learner and as our educator, as our teacher. That was so powerful, right? Like the fact that, look, we might need to learn this curriculum. We might need to understand all of this as it relates to it, but we should also understand that beyond the classroom, we're always learning. And she really exemplified that in so many ways. And I can't talk enough about Aline Jindian as a very powerful example of the second principle of Me Power. The third principle of Me Power is speak for your life, having to do with my self-expressed. And this principle means speaking up for your authentic self, engaging in positive self-talk, and honoring the responsibility, and I want to underscore responsibility, that comes with being heard and understood, right? So if you are heard and understood, if you're venting and complaining, that means it has to be backed by action, right? So Me Power is not just a notion of a feeling like you have inside. It's a feeling that you have, and it's supported by others. It's a feeling that you have individually, supported by others in a group and collectively, but then it requires you to match those feelings with action. And you can't have one without the other. It's very practice oriented. We have principles, and when we look at the way we live our life, the actions that we take, they're expressions of who we are, you know. And the exemplar for this, I think, because we're talking about women and history, and the women who I'm highlighting are very important to me. I didn't know all these women I'm talking about, but I think what they've done historically in their life has a huge impact on my life today. So we see Fannie Lou Hamer here. A little bit about Fannie Lou Hamer. She's known as the mother of voter registration, and she was born in 1917 in Montgomery County, Mississippi, and she was one of 20 kids, if you can believe it. And her family were sharecroppers, and so by the time she was 12, this girl had to leave. She had to leave and go work and get money. And she was very well read, kind of self-taught, taking the last principle of focusing on your strengths. She had the power to read and understand and make connections with people, and she had the gift of gab. So she's very well known as organizing what was called Freedom Summer in 1964, which helped bring Blacks and whites alike throughout the state of Mississippi to help Black people register to vote in the segregated South, because it was illegal for us to vote for a while. So she was one of the main people behind getting us the right to vote. And this is amazing. What she did and the way that she lived her life, how she expressed who she was, is the best exemplar of me power, because it's not just about her as an individual, it's about her and collective power for her and Black folks to vote, and also other Mississippians, not just Black Mississippians, but everybody in Mississippi, right? So if we're one of us behind, all of us are behind. If one of us are left behind, all of us are left behind. And one of my favorite quotes from her is, "If I fall, I'll fall 5 feet 4 inches forward in the fight for freedom. I won't back off." And she did not. And this person is absolutely amazing. If you don't know about her life, learn about her life. That sister was bad. So the fourth principle of me power is choose your guides, mastering excellence. And this really, this is so important, because I think we sometimes look at a word like me power, or a phrase like me power, and say, oh, it's just about the individual. No, me power is about the individual first, me first, putting your mask on first. You can't help other people if you don't take care of you. You can't empower somebody else if you are not empowered. And I also believe we can't evolve beyond the level of our present state of consciousness without a guide of some kind. Einstein, one of my favorite quotes, he talks about that, where, the way in which you're thinking at this moment, it may need to be aided and guided by maybe something someone says. Somebody might ask you a question, someone might challenge you, and it really helps you. So friends, mentors, and coaches are all guides who may have been involved in your life. They challenge you and call you out, asking questions that allow you to develop a deeper understanding of self, right? Knowledge of self. Who are you? Who are you at this time? Who is that compared to who you were before? So if you can write in the chat, who are some unlikely guides for you? Who have been some unlikely guides for you? Who might be some unlikely guides for you in the future? I think I'll pause here and say that empowered women empower women. And this is so important. We've seen this historically. We see this in the present day. And this is true for people, all people, women, men, trans women, trans men, everybody, right? If you're not empowered, you cannot empower someone else. If you tearing somebody down, or if you feel torn down, you can't pour from an empty cup. And so me power is really our power, right? Our me power. It's so collective in its orientation, and it's very important to understand that our knowledge of self as individuals, and who we are in relationship to other people. This is so important. And when we look at the fifth principle of me power, ritualize your reflection, understanding that you are more than enough. Even if you don't feel like it, even if you don't believe it, because I'm like this, I don't always believe that, because I'm focused on the next thing that I'm trying to get. Oh, this ain't enough. Oh, I don't have this many followers. Oh, I don't have this much money. Oh, I want this bigger house. Oh, I want this next thing. thing, whatever it might be. But if we stop and we pause, we can see that your reflection is the capacity to clearly see what influences you at that time so you can understand your behaviors and reactions. So maybe you're behaving in a way where you're like, I'm not enough. This ain't enough. I want this. I want that. And if we think back to where we were before compared to where we are now, we might see some progress. We might come to an understanding. We might convince ourselves that we're more than enough. So ritualizing your reflection means regularly looking back on your day, week, year, and even longer periods of time to reflect on your behavior and thinking. So one of my favorite ways to do this is to take 10 pictures from 10 points in time and to look at how things have changed over time, and pick 10 pictures that are like really key exemplars. So my favorite example is back in 2011, I dressed up as Cornel West for Halloween. And then my friend and I had a human hair, like beard and little goatee mustache like he wears. I wore a suit with a tie. I did my hair like him. I had the glasses, and I convinced my friend. She loved this costume, and nobody knew who I was right at first until we started telling them. And then she said, "Oh, I'm gonna be his past before he found religion." And so she dressed up as in the 1970s sexy outfit, and it was amazing. It was like the best costume. We have a picture of us from that point in time, and it was in her house, the house that her grandmother bought when the grandma immigrated from Greece, and her dad grew up in that house, and the dad passed the house to her. So she's renovated the house. So that picture, that snapshot in time of what we were doing has all these stories built around it. But like when we look at the house with the yellow walls and everything, we're like, man, she's really renovated that house. So we get to talk about what was and what has changed and how we have changed. It's a beautiful way to take a closer look at what was happening in your life, what was significant enough for you to take a picture. I have that picture printed out. She said, don't show the picture. I will show the picture. I will have to convince her to let me show y'all the picture. But if you put in the chat, I want to see that picture, let me know. And also let me know, what's your favorite way to ritualize reflection? My friend Kristen Kalangis is going to be laughing when I tell her this story about how I'm getting you guys as my conspirators to release this photo. Also, by the way, she took a photo of me as Cornel West, and we put it on Twitter, and I tagged him and Facebook, and he liked it and wrote me and said that was the best kind of version of him he's seen. This was back in 2011. It was beautiful. So I have to reshare the photo now with him. One of my goals is to get him to tell her, don't hide the photo, share the photo. So please let me know in the chat if you want to see this photo of us as Cornel West and his past before he found religion. It's a random happening. I also want to kind of take a pause here and let you know that in case nobody told you today, you're strong, you're smart, you're beautiful and capable of anything. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're listening to this message is for you. And Lizzo has this wonderful song right now, You're Special. I think that's the name of it. And it's a nice little rhythmic way, to understand that you are special and you are more than enough. And I'm probably going to be closing in this 1 minute here so we can move on to our panel. I just want to end by saying Me Power is operationalized in activity. I can't underscore that enough. And these 5 principles are the way in which we do that. We do it in our life. And our Me Power is about the relationship with oneself and that self in relation to the social world. Please follow me on all the social medias and whatnot. And I'm going to stop. And I've carried on long enough before we go to our wonderful panel. Thank you so much.
Wow, wow, wow. Me Power. Thank you so very much. Yes, we'll go straight to the panel and then we'll bring the audience to ask questions at the end of the panel. So I want to just so that Lisa can see the panel. I just want to put that up on the slide. So welcome. LaNysha has always impressed us, and the book is absolutely fabulous. So get the book and follow her everywhere. I warmly welcome our panelists, and I apologize, Lisa, I meant to put your photo there. But Lisa Baker is the founder of Ascentim. and she has decades of Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 experience. Lisa has led leadership positions with Synchrony Bank and Microsoft, and she is a power. She's a mover and a shaker. So Ascentim and Brightside is going to be offering the Grow program, which is a financial program, and we will be sharing that link with you. It's teachable at Ascentim. If you need help with finances, if you want to build business credit, personal credit, and if you want to change your mindset from living paycheck to paycheck to becoming a millionaire, then you want to do these 4 weeks of extensive program. I'm not making a claim, but we ourselves have done the program. So Lisa Baker will be the moderator, and the panelists are Carletta Hurt, who's the president of National Black Association, Alisha Williamson, who is the Black Association, I think it's a chamber of Memphis, Ellen Langas, who's the author of Girls Know How series with NouSoma Communications. Sonia Jackson Myles is the founder of the Accord Group. And of course, you have our wonderful Dr. LaNysha Adams, who did this amazing presentation. And I just love the book. We were wanting to do the whole conference about Me Power, because I think that Me Power is essential for any woman in business or a job seeker. So I'll come back to the studio, and I just want to make sure that I highlight for us the panel. So just bear with me. I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone.
Wow, that was incredible, LaNysha. That was incredible. I mean, so many aspects of that help you to understand, overcoming and the challenges that we face, and how we can reach the destiny of what we can get done.
Yeah. Am I missing anyone on the panel?
Okay,
Sonia,
Sonia Jackson Myles.
Sonia Jackson. Hold on, I'll get her on.
Right.
Look at our beautiful panel.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
How about that? Can you imagine? And this broadcast goes out to over 10,000 people.
Yeah, with YouTube just gave us the statistics, so we're very excited about
The
that.
subject matter and content is quite important. And so, I guess, how do we put this into context so that your messaging will reach out to the people that can receive it in the right value? And so I guess the best way to do this is to let everybody, respond to the broadcast, what you're thinking of Me Power, and some of the challenges that you face. So let us proceed. Let's proceed.
Awesome.
Lisa, go first. You tell us your responses to.
And I need
got
to put LaNysha. Oh, LaNysha's in it. Okay.
Okay,
So am I missing anyone on the panel? No. All right.
No, I think we have everybody. So first of all, LaNysha, Dr. LaNysha, wow. Excellent, excellent. I love what you said, especially that Me Power is knowledge of self plus principled action. That is amazing. And so you talked about 5 principles. Let's see if I can get them. Embracing your barriers, focusing on your strengths, speaking for your life, choosing your guides, and then ritualizing your reflection. So I'm going to start by words are important to me, and I am an auditory learner. So if you say it, I usually can remember it. So I want to start by just asking you to take one of those 5 principles of Me Power and share with those who are watching and listening how you have taken principled action around one of those 5.
To the panel, right? Or to me?
I'm going to start with you, and then I'm going to come to the panel and ask them. So get ready, because I want to hear each of you. And once somebody picks one, you can't have the same one.
I want to go last.
You want to be last?
I want to go
Okay,
last. Yeah,
no
please.
worries.
Thank
So
you.
if you want to be, since you want to be last, then I'm going to go to Alisha because I see her near the top of my screen.
And please introduce yourself.
And I got that, yeah. And so, so I'm gonna, before you answer the question, I am going to throw out this challenge for introducing yourself. Introduce yourself without telling us what you do for work.
Wow. Okay. Hi, my name is Alisha Williamson, and in my space of women empowerment in the industry, my goal and my company goal is to establish wealth within our communities and making it being a common language across all barriers, identifying areas of opportunities, changing the mindset of poverty to understanding how to identify wealth, and addressing the barriers that women face and minorities of color face in our communities.
Awesome, awesome. And which of those 5 Me Power principles have you put some principled action with?
I would say ritualization. And my ritualization is being intentional and setting boundaries. When you're intentional about your goals of what you want to accomplish, whether you actively pursue it or subconsciously pursue it, it becomes a ritual because every day you're moving with that purpose, you're moving with that knowledge to be intentional on gaining those goals. And being intentional, you set boundaries, knowing where your limits are as a professional, as a woman, as a mother, a daughter, and being okay to articulate that and put it in language where people can understand and identify your boundaries. It doesn't limit you, it empowers you, it allows you to remain capable of fulfilling the needs, not only for yourself, but those that depend on you, not only as your position holds itself and as the individual that you are. So ritualization is something. My ritual is to identify my boundaries and be intentional as I go through my path every day.
That is awesome. I love what you said about that. You know, setting boundaries is so important, and people can often think of them as restrictive, but as you said, they are empowering. It frees you up to do those things that are most important to you, and it teaches people really to respect you and those boundaries, and so that you get what you want and need from the world so that you can do those things. Okay, I'm going to go over to Ellen. Please introduce yourself without telling us what you do for work, and then pick one of the principles and tell us how you're putting it into action.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ellen Langas. And from a business standpoint, my job is to bring the stories to life of individuals, of businesses, of nonprofits, because I think everybody has a story to tell. So that's my job, to bring that to life and to help improve people's lives through those stories. I'm also a wife and a mother, and I feel that's just as important of a job. I loved what Dr. LaNysha spoke about, and I like to veer just a little bit and say the aspect that I'm bringing to bear today would be more the overall arching concept that she introduced today, that me power equals empower. Because the other thing that I'm very passionate about is that I am a youth career education advocate. And I think when we're talking about me power and empower, I'd like us all to help redefine the notion of girl power. And that's what I'm trying to do through my Girls Know How book series, so that that's a different definition for the next generation of young women. It's important at an earlier age for all of us to help girls visualize career opportunities, and not only to provide the adequate access to the tools they need to become confident leaders, but to help create an environment that's going to enable them to put those skills into use and into practice.
It's awesome. Starting at a very early age, I think is so key, right? And if we can teach our girls, our daughters, our sisters, right, to learn early on that they are powerful, that there really are no limits, that they are strong and smart and beautiful and capable of anything. The sooner they know and believe that, the better life will be for them, and the more
Yeah.
possibilities that they can see for themselves.
And I think it's important that they grow up, boys and girls, but that gender parity is the norm, not the exception. I just think, we need to come up with this environment where there aren't preconceived notions for them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, Miss Sonia.
Yes. Hello, sister.
Hey, so tell us who you are without describing what you do for work, and which of the 5 principles of Me Power you are putting into action.
First of all, let me just say that I am so incredibly honored to be here with you all. There are so many full circle moments. I can't even begin to share with you all how divinely this was orchestrated. So that's for a conversation after we spend our time today. Dr. LaNysha, can I just say to you that you have touched my soul. The things that you are talking about and what you are doing is exactly what I've been talking about for decades. And so these divine connections is so important because it's important for us to come together where all boats rise. And that's what this is about today. I am on a mission with the Sister Accord to have 1 billion girls and women learn how to love themselves and each other. And the reason why I say learn is because we're socialized as little girls to not like ourselves and to not like each other. And so here I was in corporate America for over 20 years, Ford Motor Company, the Gillette Company, and Procter & Gamble. And I had a mentee from every continent, with the exception of Antarctica. And what I saw disturbed me. So I went to sleep one night and saw the Sister Accord in a dream. And it's my mission, it's my life's mission to make sure that as our girls are coming into corporate America or wherever they decide to have a career, that they are not plagued by something that I call a humanity insight. And that's that notion of how we're socialized. We have got to break all of these things and rethink and rewire our brains so that we don't believe that we are each other's competition. Comparison is the enemy of joy. And so the moment we start comparing ourselves to someone else, you're going to always find someone thinner, cute, or all the superficial stuff that doesn't matter anyway. And so what Dr. LaNysha is talking about, it's important for you to understand those gifts that were planted inside of you as you were formed in your mother's womb, and then stir them up. The me power, everything that she's talking about. And so the aspect, I relate to everything that she's saying because it literally, I felt like I was looking in the mirror. And when your soul leaps because you are connecting to someone in a very deep way, it's a very special feeling. But the one that I'll talk about is Speak for Your Life. I remember being at Ford Motor Company and I was asking, why aren't people helping each other here? And why aren't people doing this? I had come from FAMU. I had graduated from FAMU. And so we were like family. And I was expecting, rather naive, that when I walked into those doors, that's what I would find. And I saw the complete opposite. And people said, Sonia, it's every woman and man for themselves here. And I said, I'm going to change that. They said, this is a 100-year-old company. How are you going to change that? But Dr. LaNysha pointed out, when you have me power and you get clear about that purpose and the reason why you are where you are, something special happens. And so speak for your life. And everything that I did to start a women's ERG before it was in vogue, taking those chances, exercising the courage muscle, as I like to call it, is exactly what Dr. LaNysha is talking about. And this is what I wish for and pray for every single woman and man on this planet.
Wow. Wow. If I had an offering basket, I would just start passing it around. Now, this is the time in the service where you pass the basket. I love everything that you said, but I'm going to key in on one thing because I just have to. You said that this is divinely orchestrated. You talked about divine connections and the full circle, and you are 100% right. My daily prayer is that the Lord will send me divine connections. Nice. And I didn't introduce myself because Elizabeth had done that. But if you were to look at my LinkedIn page, what it tells you that I do is that I help high performing women who feel stuck and undervalued in their careers to own their power, to communicate their worth with impactfully, right? So that they can get the promotions and the pay that they deserve.
Yes.
So yes, to everything that you said, we are all, however the planets align, the universe, God of the universe, he brought us all together at this moment for a reason. And I look forward to seeing what happens as a result of this. Thank you, Dr. LaNysha, for writing the book that puts words to what we have all been thinking about, praying about, and inspired to do. Okay. Carletta, you're up, my beautiful sister.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon again. Thank you, Dr. Adams, for the invitation. Amazing panel. I'm too overjoyed, excited, feeling very much invigorated by the conversation thus far, and so many connections, right? So I wrote down, I had to write mine down because I was like, how am I going to explain this without saying what I do? So there are two things that I do. The primary function of my days, I support young adults to achieve their first level of educational success while helping them learn skills to support good mental health and life skills. And I also am a visual creator that amplifies the voices of Black girls as a co-conspirator to their success. So those are the two things that I do in my day and night life. I met Dr. Adams through a Clubhouse, actually, and we just immediately connected, mothers of sons. And so I've just been blessed to call her a friend, as well as someone I can go to for some creative outlets and general support. So when she was talking about writing her book, and just so proud of her for having done it, like just extremely overjoyed. And whenever I get a chance to, I tell people about it because it is like having a baby, and she's spent a lot of time and energy, and you can really tell. And I'm just so impressed with this circle. So mine is Choose Your Guides, Master of Excellence. And I turned 47, but last year I had a thing called 46 Deep. And I invited 60 of my closest friends to come with me on this year journey. And she participated because I was really committed to not just saying, I want to work with Black women, but I'm going to work with Black women. And so when I say choose your guides, I chose them based off of whatever connections we had, but also really wanted to find a way to be connected to individuals doing things and not just talking about it. And so in my 47th year, I've made my circle of 7. I had the Loretta circle, and now that Master of Excellence, selecting those who are mastered at aspects of their careers or their life, either that I want to emulate or that I admire, or just that I think is really cool. Like, I like what you're doing. And so that's my connection to Me Power, and specifically looking at one of the spokes in this wheel of awesome Me Power. I also work with young girls, and we talk a lot about the inside, right? And how it starts within you and not always looking outside for things. And I think it's one of those areas when you think about Me Power, it really centers saying the empower to Me Power, and they take more ownership of what they're doing. And that means also, if something on the outside doesn't happen, the inside is still strong. and they're able to persevere. I went to this like years ago, and she said, if what I have is, if who I am is all I have, and all I have is gone, then who am I? And so this idea that we have to help young girls know that what's inside of them is all that they need. So if this outside stuff falls apart, they're still going to be okay. So I'll land my plane, but yes, thank you.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. This phrase is sticking in my head, that you are a co-conspirator
Yes.
to their success. That resonates with me so deeply, because often we think of someone being a co-conspirator as it being something negative,
Yep.
potentially illegal too, right? But to be a co-conspirator to a young woman's success, what a beautiful thing. What a beautiful thing. Thank you for doing that. I wish that I had a Carletta when I, thought I was ugly and a whole bunch of other things that I believe that people said about me,
Yep.
that could have come alongside and helped me to see that who I am and how God made me is very good.
Amen.
Because everything he made is, right?
Go Tab.
Dr. LaNysha.
Wow. I don't even know what to say. So first of all, I want to thank everybody for being here in the galley, and Kayla in the chat is lighting it up. We're in the chat kind of documenting what people are saying, and she's writing some really cool things, and JP Lux is in there. So we have a lot of interaction in the chat, which is so cool to see. Divine intervention, divine design. I mean, it's like I feel that in this moment, so I'm kind of overwhelmed with that reality. I mean, this concept of me power, it's I feel like it's written to reflect a fundamental truth about our humanity. We all need a sense of belongingness, and we really can't create a better world on our own. And this realization, what I was compelled by it because it requires a strong understanding of who we are, and it demands that we recognize our shared responsibility in shaping our future, which is why the concept is our me power. But it starts with us first, and everyone on the panel has talked about that and who they are and how they have such strength in that, and that motivates them to take action, to do things professionally, personally, with people that they touch in their life. And so I'm really just kind of remarking my emotional overwhelm in this moment, which is kind of nice. And then the principle that I feel like really helped me get to even finish the book is embrace your barriers. So I was supposed to publish it in May 2022, and it got pushed back to September 2022 because I suffered a cardiac arrest and I had to be revitalized. I got COVID and then had this happen. A lot of people it's happened to. My husband performed CPR. They worked on me for half an hour. And I was able to be back without brain damage or anything after not having oxygen for half an hour, not being awake for half an hour. And then I spent a week in the ICU, in a coma in the ICU, and then another week trying to break out of the ICU, and I couldn't even walk. So the journey to even get to this point, to get it out, was tough because I was already at the end, but then lost the whole month of January, was feeling great. And then when this event happened that significantly changed my life, I didn't understand why, because I didn't have a pre-existing condition. The only other time I had been in the hospital was to give birth to my son, my youngest son, who's 2.5. He'll be 3 in June. So June 2020, I was giving birth, and then January 2022, I'm in the ICU on life support. And so I really, I think when I woke up, I thought, where are my kids? Get me out of here. And then I'm on a deadline with my publisher. I got to finish this book. Like those were my immediate thoughts. Man, if I was like a wild animal, they had to put restraints. And I just think about, that was the ultimate barrier to me today, right? Your body, your heart, my heart literally stopped. And then I was unconscious. And then I was in the hospital, which probably is one of the worst hospitals and airports. I don't want to be in them, like not hanging out. So I had to do something in order to get out of there. And I really embrace that as a barrier. Embracing your barrier is seeing the obstacle as it's insurmountable, right? Like I literally couldn't walk. I said, how did I end up in here? They said, oh, your heart stopped. I said, well, how do I get out? They said, first, your body has to reacclimate to being unconscious for literally a week. And I said, well, get me out of here, like right now. And then they were like, girl, you don't understand. Like, how you gonna get out? You can't walk. And so then when I was doing the PT, I'm stubborn. Tomorrow's my birthday, and it's Aries season. And if you ever known the Aries, I don't want to say we're all the same, but we kind of are the same in this regard. We have vision in mind, and we're gonna be like, do, almost as worse as those crazy Tauruses that are so stubborn.
Yeah, one speed and let's go, right?
That one speed and let's go. And then you got me restrained in the hospital. Like how I'm gonna get out. And so it was the PT guy who told me, like, look, the only way you're gonna get out of here is if you can walk. I said, well, how can I walk? And it was really funny because he's like, first of all, stop fighting. Stop trying to force your way out of here. Like, and that's what I was doing, because that's how I've lived my life. That's how I've survived and thrived. At least that's what I thought. That's how we have to operate. That's how we have to move. And so it's so fascinating because I had to change my approach, my energetic approach. And this, when I ended up getting out of there, I had to not only change my approach to the thinking about how to get out, but also my entire life. Now I have a heart condition. I'm powered by a pacemaker. I also have a Peloton, and I'm on all these meds. Man, you should see my little setup for the meds. But I got health insurance and I have the meds. So I'm very thankful. And then the other thing is that even though I have heart failure, I still am thriving. And I don't know how long I'm going to be on the planet, but all I know is I died and came back, and I'm here right now. And that's it. And so I think it's very important for us to think about me power as a way that you fuel yourself. And then you look to others, your crew. Carletta's one of them. A lot of y'all in here, some of them, new people are part of it. And you look to those who are also empowered to strengthen you and to remind you of what's inside.
That's so good. Well, I, for one, am so grateful that you are still here.
Yeah.
And I believe with everything that I am, that you will be here a very long time, because there is so much that you have yet to accomplish. And you cannot even imagine what is in store for you and for us because of you living on purpose. My final question is for you, Dr. LaNysha. First, and since tomorrow is your birthday, happy birthday. Imagine that you are about to blow out the one candle on your birthday cake and make a wish. What is the wish that you have for yourself that we, as your sisters on this panel, can help to fulfill for you?
Wow. Wow, what a question. Let's see.
I'm going to give you a minute to think about it, but we're running over on time. But Y'all stay on as long as you can, but I've added Dr. Dietrich and Dr. LaNysha, so we'll just continue on with the program. And Martha has to get back to her job. So I don't know if anyone in the audience is supposed to be on the panel. Just send me a chat, so I'll add you. But stay on, don't go. We'll just keep talking. So over to you, Dr. LaNysha.
So I don't know why we close our eyes before we're about to blow out the candle, but that's what I was doing and it helped me. And I would just wish that all of us, I wish for myself, and I need the most help in this area, that when I'm taking a pause to refresh, that I do it from a place of the utmost peace. And not just stay there like I'm at the spa and I'm so relaxed and I have the massage and I'm in the hot springs and this is my fantasy. Obviously, I'm not going to no spa, but when I do, I want to stay there. But just think about that energy of like the pause that refreshes and then taking action from there. The best kind of action, which is with one another and also to affect positive change in a non-transactional, a non-egotistical way. That's my wish.
And a beautiful wish it is. And we will do our best to ensure that your wish is granted. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. LaNysha. Thank you, Carletta, Sonia, Alisha, Ellen. Thank you.
Wow, that was terrific. So stay on. What I'm going to do, so that we might want to have a little bit of discussion. I see everybody's teary-eyed. So what I'll do, Ellen, did you get a chance to speak? Ellen? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yes,
So
thank
what
you.
I'll do is I need y'all to stay on to do introductions. So 5 minutes. We'll start with Dr. Dietrich, and then we'll go to the surgeon, Dr. LaNysha. First of all, to have 2 Black doctors, I think is just amazing. Everybody, please applaud these women, because LaNysha and I, when we were working on the program, we said women in academics, women in business, women in medicine. It was just a vision we had, and we've got them. So we're very appreciative of their time. And we have Martha, who has a clinical research company, and she's actually putting people to work. So Martha, thank you for all the money you're putting in people's pockets. We'll talk about her opportunity in a minute as well. So we'll start with Dr. Dietrich. We'll go to Dr. LaNysha. We'll get Martha to introduce herself. And then I'll come back to Dr. LaNysha, Lisa, Carletta, Ellen, Alisha, and Sonia. So I'm going to give each of you 5 minutes to introduce yourselves, and then we'll wrap this panel up, and then bring Dr. Dietrich. We'll get Dr. LaNysha because she's doing 5 to 7 minutes, and then Dr. Dietrich will do her full presentation. So please stay. You're not going to want to miss Dr. Dietrich's presentation. So Dr. Dietrich, 5 minutes. Introduce yourself. 5 to 7 minutes.
Hi, it'll even be less than that because I'll talk more about it in my presentation. But first off, I want to tell Dr. LaNysha, happy Doctor's Day. Today's Doctor's Day, y'all, National Doctor's Day. So happy for that. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I'm Dr. Dietrich Gorman, and I'm actually a family medicine physician, and I reside in West Texas. And so basically, I've taken a small leave from medicine full time to pursue my passion, which is helping professional women learn about stress reduction, how stress affects every single aspect of our life, and ways that we can learn how to mitigate that. I actually grew up in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I don't know if there's anyone from Indiana here, you know anybody from Indiana. And I actually took a leap of faith and followed my heart to go to New Jersey to go to medical school. So I've kind of been out and about. And then after that, I was recruited to Texas, West Texas, where I am right now, just to to do my career. But it's just been a great experience learning from people, learning from women. And one thing that we all share in common is that we all have our life stressors. You know, they're all different, but the effects basically on our bodies are the same. And so I really want to put that to light to make sure that we all know that we need to put ourselves at the top of self-care in the sense of taking care of our stressors, because it literally is a killer. What we do to our bodies from that day in, day out mental stress is literally tearing us down. And so that's what my passion is educating people, educating women specifically on what those dangers are and then ways that you can help better mitigate that. So that's all I'll say for now. And I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Guess I'll go next, and I have to apologize. I'm an orthopedic surgeon. I'll get into the full description of what I do. And of course, I have an emergent case of someone whose fingertip is hanging off by a thread. And so I actually have to get to surgery, and I'm so sad because all of these conversations that I've been listening to sound so powerful. So my name is Dr. LaNysha Bilbrew. I am an orthopedic surgeon. I specialize in upper extremity, and I can just tell from the few minutes that I've been on the call that this is an amazing panel, and there's some really powerful women on here. And I love the themes that you guys have been focusing on. I have recently published a book called Yes, I Am the Surgeon. That's what's in the background right here. And the subtitle is Lessons on Perseverance in a World That Tells You No. I currently reside in Georgia, and I'm one of 5 Black female orthopedic surgeons in the state. There are less than 100 of us worldwide. And I always tell people the first Black female orthopedic surgeon just retired last year, and that's Dr. Claudia Thomas. And so as much as it is amazing to be one of her contemporaries, I say that to bring people's thought to the fact that she is still alive. She's not been dead for hundreds of years. And so the book focuses on the story of perseverance. The very first person that told me I couldn't be a doctor was someone I held in high esteem, which was in college. And it's one of the first chapters in the book, and it's called My First No. And it is so common that, especially underrepresented minorities, when we're going into fields that are difficult, we're told that we can't do it, right? And I wanted to tell people that, yes, you can. And so the book was never meant to encourage somebody, oh, you know how to do it. It's for people that already know they can do it, but they just get broken down. They get stressed out. They get tired. They get burnt out. And they just need to see that light at the end of the tunnel. And so the book builds in those crucial lessons to teach them and to show them you have to keep going. And you don't keep going for yourself. You keep going for your patients, for your community, for your family, for the other people that you need to bring behind you, because I'm saddened that there's only 100 of us worldwide. I want there to be thousands. And so I'm just so sad that I don't get to participate, because there's just so many powerful things that I've heard just in the few moments. But you know, my overall arching message to everyone is that yes, you can persevere. Yes, you are the surgeon, and yes, you are the lawyer. Yes, you are fill in the blank. You're qualified. Even if they don't accept you, you accept yourself first, and you make yourself known in that room. So thank you so much for having me on, even for this short amount of time. And I'm hoping that I wrap up this case quickly and I can jump back on. But my book is available on Amazon. It was already on the #1 bestseller. It was released March 14th. You can also check out my website, which is drlatishabilbrew.com, or just find me on social media. And I hope to be in contact with all of you ladies.
Please put that in the chat.
Yes, I'll put it in right now.
Mm-hmm. And you go get it, girl. That's the blessing. You go ahead.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know how to follow that up. I'm Martha Dockery. I am, if I had to give myself a title, I am a diversity champion. So diversity across the board. So one of the things that I have started my company is to diversify and promote equity representation in clinical trials. Clinical trials is not highly represented with the people that look like me. and not only people that look like me, so race, age, ethnicity, and even gender. So I'm here just to share a little light on how we can empower ourselves through clinical research. So I look forward to chatting with everyone.
I don't know who comes next, but I'll take it. My name is Dina Linstead, and I've been on the programs many times with Elizabeth, and she asked me to talk to you today, but I think what I'm doing is I'm looking backwards instead of forwards. And through my experience of coming from a rural environment in my childhood from a very poor family, and how I was able to succeed 3 careers. And I was inspired by Margaret Mead. I read an article by her many years ago in which she said women, well, probably men as well, should have at least 3 careers. And she was an anthropologist, and she was a philosopher, and she was also a writer. And with her career, she also had 3 husbands, I might add. So I don't recommend that necessarily. But she kind of inspired me to think that way. And so what I'm going to, during my presentation sometime this afternoon, will tell you about my background and how I was able to succeed in all 3 of my professions. And I'm still going strong as a fiction writer. And so I'll talk a little bit about my books, but in the meantime, I'll just leave it for there, and hopefully you ladies will stick around and listen to a history story. Okay. Thank you.
That is awesome. I believe that Elizabeth wanted us to reintroduce ourselves in this segment, is what she asked. So, Miss Sonia, I'm gonna go ahead. Beautiful.
Okay. All right. Well, I spoke earlier that I am on a mission to have 1 billion girls and women learn how to love themselves and each other, understand their value and worth, embrace it, and walk in it. And that is the Sister Accord, the promise that will transform your life. And so I am the founder and CEO of the organization. We have 3 areas of focus: educating girls and women, so we give scholarships; enlightening girls and women of the power of sisterhood, that's through our events and programming; and then eradicating bullying and violence against girls and women. So these 3 areas have been a huge area of focus for us because, as I said earlier, the humanity insight that I tapped into after working at all these companies and seeing how men don't even have to like each other and they still support each other. When women don't like each other, it's on and popping. And so I wanted to address what I was seeing because it pained me. I was so distraught about how are we going to get to the C-suite? How are we going to get to the boardroom if we cannot get along? If we have women saying, I don't do women, I don't like women, I don't want to work for a woman. I mean, all of these negative things that people were saying to me. And so I knew that I had to stop running from purpose because I was very comfortable in corporate America. I loved my job. I had a role in purchasing, and I loved it. I was doing all the diversity work. I was helping women, but I had a calling. And I had to stop running from it and stop allowing fear to get in the way of me bringing to life what was planted inside of me as I was formed in my mother's womb. And so I literally walked away from my job. I was the breadwinner at the time. My husband said, "You're going to do what?" Because I was so focused on, oh, if this thing doesn't work, oh, if I fail. I was focused on that. And then God said, well, what if it's wildly successful? Like, what if I bless you beyond your wildest dreams? 1 Corinthians 2:9. And so I was like, okay, well, that's the path that I must go on. And so we're coming up on 10 years, and now we have expanded into Africa. If I'm going to get to 1 billion girls and women, I have to go to Africa, I have to go to Asia. And so we have 2 chapters, sister core chapters in Zimbabwe, and one we launched this year in Malawi. And we have a whole host of other countries that we're going to. We are literally teaching women everything that Dr. LaNysha said earlier. That's what we teach. You have to tap into the essence of your greatness. We all have it. People will try to tell you that you don't have it, that you have to go buy it, but it's already there. So all we literally do is help to stir up the gifts, help people see those superpowers, help people focus on strengthening the strengths, because so often we are focusing on what is lacking. And when we do this, we can all come together on one accord. We are not leaving men and boys out of this conversation. We cannot leave them out of this conversation. And so they are a big part of what we're doing, particularly as it relates to eliminating violence and bullying against girls and women as well.
Lisa, might I go ahead and make a quick introduction, because I have to leave for a 1:30 flight for a flight. So I just want to leave everyone with a couple words. I introduced myself earlier as the president and founder of NouSoma Communications. We're a full service marketing, public relations, and branding agency. But as a young mom, a single mom, I was seeing history repeating itself with my girls. And I couldn't believe it, because I knew when I was a youngster, I did not have the role models. I did not see myself in positions of leadership. And I wondered, how can I make that happen? I didn't have a background to do that, but I saw kids devouring chapter books. And that's why I started the Girls Know How book series. It's just one small piece of many things we can do to help girls explore different careers. They're fictional books, but they talk about things that every girl has, the problems that they have, the families that they have, but we introduce a different career and a successful role model in each book. So collectively, things like seeing themselves in media, in books, people that look like whoever we look like in books, in the media, go to the library, read about the books, job shadow, all of these things. That's what's going to help create an environment where girls do have that feeling that they can, with some hard work and perseverance, achieve anything that they want. I just want to leave you with one little piece of research that I had put together here. And that was, it shows that girls can veer off track by their early teens. In fact, it's surprising to learn that the studies show that while boys and girls start out with relatively equal levels of ambition and self-esteem during childhood, girls' self-esteem peaks around 9 years of age. And you know what? This goes right back to what Lisa said earlier about, oh, I felt ugly. And Lisa, I would tell you, as a young skinny girl with braces and glasses, when I walked to junior high school, the boys chanted, "Here comes hairy legs Langas." Talk about having your self-esteem plummet. But being my parents are from Greece, and we weren't allowed to do any of the stuff that girls growing up, were allowed to do. But while the boys and girls are in that level playing field in elementary school, by the time they reach middle school, there's this sudden shift, and it speaks to exactly what we were talking about. Body consciousness, social acceptance take over. So I would just leave you as I go to flight. And I think that Dr. LaNysha was saying the last thing she wants to do is hang out in the airport. Well, that's what I'm going to do right now. But let's really work together to make sure that girls don't have or grow up with those preconceived notions of what they can and cannot do. And I just wanted to wish everybody just a great adventure. This has been a wonderful experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ellen. Safe travels.
Yep, safe travels.
Alisha?
Yes, and I would like to add on to what Ellen had said. My name is Alisha Williamson. I'm the Strategic Projects Administrator at the Black Business Association of Memphis. We operate basically as a chamber for Black entrepreneurs and professionals in our community. My position is unique because it's not defined of one role. I do marketing, I do consumer engagement. I'm also a single mom, and my son is listening to this as he cheers on your different stories in the background while he does his tutoring. Moving forward. But yeah, my position is unique because I captured this position about someone speaking good on me in the room. And for a while, I went to school, I graduated with a degree in health administration, but that was never my passion. I just knew that when I graduated from high school, I had to survive. I had to work, and I had to find a way to make it a living for myself, living out on my own. And that led to many different roles, many different tasks, many different adventures where at some point I almost got discouraged. And as I grew up and found my way as a successful marketer and client consultant in the field of nonprofit, I came across a story on TED Talk where it talks about the stairway to success. And it says that, when we're young, we're asked, what do you want to be? And as a child, you may say, oh, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a firefighter. And it's cute. And then a couple of years later, you get to about 5 or 6. And it's like, hey, what do you want to be? I want to be a teacher. Okay. Seems like you kind of know. But then 14 and 15, you need to know what you want to be. And then you graduate. You're supposed to be doing what you said you're going to be. And then one hiccup, one mistake, we get discouraged and we don't know what that pathway looks like. And for me, I didn't know what success looked like until I was intentional. I identified my capacity, I set my boundaries, and I moved in that pathway where I was able to identify that success is not a straight line. It can be zigzags, it can be stairways. And those who embrace us and say, hey, it's okay to reset, to start over, then they help empower us as a adult, as a child, as a entry level worker, as an entrepreneur. They give us that confidence that we need. So just identify that success is not a one-way path. We applaud those ones who had that easy adventure, but for the ones that seem to not know what it looks like, it's okay. Because most billionaires that we identify as being successful, they didn't get it till they was 40. It wasn't 23. So just keep that in mind. And here at the Black Business Association, we, again, are trying to establish wealth within our communities. We have an initiative called Memphis Restart, where it focuses on 3 different pillars. That is talent, giving entrepreneurs and job seekers the next level to what they need to identify what success looks like. We have a pillar called Succession Solutions, basically keeping equity within our communities and finding buyers who don't have a retirement plan and putting it with individuals who have been coached and navigated on how to become bankable and how to be successful and capture these companies that are now available in the market to keep that equity here in our communities and also create a steady workforce that allows our communities to keep thriving. And then the last piece is Talent Connect. This is our diversity program where we help employers identify those candidates that have great potential and can fulfill those needs of diversity or DEI, or where areas that they seem to fall short on, and have them a direct connect way through these initiatives. So I would definitely leave that in our checkbox where you can follow on. We have a membership. You may not be local here in Memphis, but the key to addressing wealth is having a consistent message where no matter where you are, who you are, you can continue to deliver that message and make it consistent. That's it.
Thank you, Alisha. So I'll introduce or reintroduce myself. My name is Lisa L. Baker. I'm a speaker. I'm an executive coach. I'm a former corporate executive. I am a wife, a mother, a grandmother. I'm an intercessor. I am a person who loves people. I can so resonate with But Sonia said earlier, 2 years ago, I left my cushy corporate job. I was the senior vice president and general manager at Synchrony, running a $2.5 billion eBay and PayPal credit portfolio, and I was doing great. I was the highest ranked Black female in the business. I could have gone further, but God said, no, ma'am. He had other plans for me. And so I retired early. And honestly, when I retired, I didn't know what I was going to do. But it's something about having a purposeful pause. Well, God will interrupt what you're doing, give you an opportunity to pause on purpose so that you can hear from him. And as I was drifting off to sleep one night, just sitting with this question, what am I supposed to be doing? I knew there was something, but I wasn't sure. And so as I was drifting off to sleep, I heard these words: get out of debt, retain more of your income, organize your assets, and walk in wealth. That's grow. And I'm not that creative. God gave me that as I was falling off to sleep. And I said, God, please let me remember this when I wake up in the morning. Because my question was, what's the connection between all of these things that are really important to me? Financial freedom and helping people build wealth, connections, building meaningful relationships, because everything that we will ever want and need will come through another person. And so I knew that was important. And then careers, because I made it to these high ranks, and it shouldn't be as hard for the next person who wants to do that as it was for me. And so God let me see that grow is the connection between it all. That's what I have been doing all throughout my career, helping portfolios grow, helping my clients grow their business, helping people who reported to me, who wanted to be mentored by me or coached by me, helping them to grow. And then God gave me this financial piece of grow. And so now I have founded Ascentim, which is a coaching practice, and I help high performing professionals, especially women and people of color, to own their power, to communicate their worth confidently so that they can crush through barriers and get the pay and the promotions that they deserve. And I created Grow Finances because God gave it to me, number one, but number two, because it makes absolutely no sense that we work all of these years, make all of this money, and have nothing to show for it. 51% of people who earn six-figure salaries still live paycheck to paycheck. Now, it's more than that if I tell you about people of color, especially Black people and women. And so we work and we stay in jobs that we shouldn't be in, don't want to be in, that are killing our soul. That's not our purpose because we can't afford to leave. We stay in relationships that are not good for us because we can't afford to leave. And so I never want that to be someone's story. I want you to be empowered, to have, as Dr. LaNysha said, me power. And so that's what I do. I help people to get connected so that they have the influence that they need, so that they have the career that they want to create, the impact that they're supposed to have in this world and in this life, and have the income so that they can live life on their own terms and leave a legacy for those when they leave this earth. So you can live how you want to now and leave a legacy, because a good person, a wise person, leaves an inheritance for their children's children. That's generational wealth, y'all. I want you to have that kind of money, to have so much money that money is never an issue ever again. Dr. LaNysha, over to you.
You know, I'm just in awe. I think I'm in awe. There's no other words for it. Are we just introducing ourselves or doing final goodbyes?
I still haven't introduced myself.
Yeah, no, Susan, we're bringing you on. We're running late on everything. So yes, Dr. LaNysha, introduce yourself and wrap us up, because I have to get Dr. Dietrich on with her presentation. We're definitely running late. Thank you, Susan. Bear with us. I'm going to get you on next.
Could I introduce my book though?
Yes, you can,
Okay.
but just
Okay.
wait. We're wrapping up this session and then I'll bring you on.
Okay, thank you.
Because you're on the next session. So we're running late.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Hey, no worries. Hey, everyone. I'm LaNysha Adams, at EdLinguist on all of the social media platforms. I run a coaching and consulting firm called EdLinguist Solutions. And our mission is to revolutionize the way that people learn, putting themselves, who they are, their knowledge of self at the center of all that they do. And that's fundamental to this notion of empowerment, which is redefined as me power. And we believe that everyone has the right to high quality education and training. And we foster this belief by co-creating tools and resources that enable lifelong learning and development. I will stop there, and I want to thank everybody for coming to this session. It's been phenomenal to connect with everyone on the panel. We've had amazing facilitation by Lisa Baker, Carletta Hurt, Alisha Williamson, Sonia Jackson, Myles, and our other panelist where did she go? She left. But we had an amazing time really unpacking me power and talking about what it means in each of our lives individually. And so I want to close and thank you all so much for attending today.
Oh, wow. And thank you for that book, because Me Power, we're going to do a whole conference on this. And I mean it, Dr. Anisha. That's why we're running over on time. So I am going to let you know, so you're watching this live on Facebook, LinkedIn, every channel, on our website, on our newsletter. We are Brightside Global Trade TV online. We're available everywhere, and we will be soon opening up with our podcast channel. But right now we are a YouTube video channel. So I just want to make that clarification. You can get us on brightsideglobaltrade.org, and please go ahead and subscribe. Click on the video as well and subscribe. We need your subscriptions. Another urgent cry out is we have to get help with our Amazon affiliate account. We're losing it. We just need 3 sales so that we can put these books and everything in our store, so y'all can get more sales. So please, if you can, go to brightsideglobaltrade.org/shop. It doesn't matter what amount. I just have to have my subscribers. Those are the rules. I don't make up these rules by Amazon. So I literally have a day to save my account. So that's why I'm making this appeal. So we're going to stop recording this session, and we'll go into session 2.